If you're a person who believes in freedom of speech, you have to fight and say what you feel and let the chips fall where they may.
Whatever you want and then face some sort of repercussions for it later.
Next month, son. Nothing else in the world smells like that.
Kansas has possibly the weakest open records law in the country.
Retaliatory animus, had it not been for that negative feeling towards speech, they would have not done that.
Are you telling me that 200 men against your boy is a no-win situation for us?
Wishing you could see things once my way. When it all gets ripped away. I know the smell of napalm in the morning. I can't hide. Pain and grain so far away. Sometimes it gets hard to breathe when it's thrown up in my face.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's a little bit of dreaded accountability on a Wednesday evening. Welcome in, Doc. How are you doing tonight?
Doing okay. How are you doing?
Had court today.
Yeah.
For that trespassing, defending my rights in there. And I guess that's what we're going to talk about tonight is about a little bit about how to defend your rights.
Right on.
So,
that's never fun to go to court.
no, but this is just procedural stuff. They're gonna follow through with the trespassing. So we'll see what happens. We got the whole city commission. We can drag in on that one if we need to. But
yep. And this trespass has to do with something that happened at the Lawrence City Commission meeting. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about Jackson County, Kansas Commission meeting as well.
Yep. I kind of figured we'd kind of go through them in order since Jackson County was the first one of the week. We might as well start there. This was Monday, and we went up there to, Doc, you wanted to go. I mean, I think you got a little frustrated watching me get shut down in there. So looks like he went dark. I hope Olathe is still on the map over there somewhere. There he is. Is that our tech glitch for tonight?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I can hardly hear you all of a sudden.
Well, tech issues. Hey, while we're getting this figured out, I want to make sure to mention to everybody, you guys need to be keeping an eye on the Benghazi Rabbit, his channel out there. If somebody tried to pin that one in there, they've got a ton of hurricane damage down there in North Carolina. And we've been trying to share a little bit of their stuff coming out. They've been kind of sharing the reality of the situation on the ground. There it is. KFN's got it up there on the screen now for you guys.
Hey man, I'm going to leave and I'm going to come back in.
Okay, sure. we're going to let him resolve that. And but like I said, share the Benghazi Rabbits videos and get those out there. And him and Lion have even said that if you want to screen grab them and put them on your own channel to put them out, they're okay with that. This is about getting the word out and making sure that people are aware that of what's going on, the reality on the ground down there. I saw a video he shared earlier today that showed a bunch of helicopters in the sky. So there's a lot of search and rescue happening out there right now with all that hurricane damage. And we saw bands of hurricane damage all the way, well, not damage, but bands of hurricane rain, all the way up into the St. Louis area. So that was quite a storm. Doc, are you back? Are you good to go?
Yep. Everything sounds
all right.
better now.
Yep. So let me turn my volume up a little bit and we'll get rolling here. So this is the Jackson County meeting that we went to. Go ahead, Doc. I'll let you introduce it.
Well, I was going to kind of explain the setup of this Jackson County meeting here. So this is the Jackson County Commission meeting. It's in Holton, Kansas. And the way this one is set up is they meet all day long. It starts at 9 a.m. and the meeting runs
4:30
till 4:30, the entire day. And so when you go in there, they have an agenda for that meeting, and basically it's a blank agenda, more or less. It's a blank agenda. Whatever items they would have on there, they have on there. But because the meeting's so long, they have it broken into 15-minute slots, and it looks like basically it's an empty agenda. So if somebody wanted to get on the agenda, they would go in there, that meeting, and just talk to the county clerk lady, her name is Christy, and say you want to sign up to talk on the agenda. And the way it happened for us is because there was nobody else signing up. She asked us which times we wanted, and I imagine if it was standing room only, those spots would fill up, I guess, and you get what you get. But she asked us which times we wanted to speak, and that was they had a few commission items that were already penciled in there, and then the attorney was penciled in there to speak at 10, and so I took the 10:15 slot and you took the 10:30 slot. And basically from what I can gather is as the meeting started at 9, they have the entire meeting broken into 15-minute blocks or so, and so when they were in that 15-minute block, they wrapped that item up. They went back to whatever paperwork, small talk.
And that's the thing, after you got done talking, it seemed like they just kind of went back to, kind of nothing for a few minutes, wait until 10:30 to get there for me to talk. And that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And so I spoke, they ended the conversation. We kind of just sat there until it was 10:30 for Michael to speak. And let's show them a little bit of yours here. Well, hold on a second. But there's something important that gets into the distinction on what we're going to be talking about here, is that there isn't a set aside portion of the meeting called general public comment. And so one of the things that I wanted to point out here is that each one of these meetings, they kind of operate differently. So to compare this to like this Lawrence City meeting or the Douglas County meeting, they have a structured meeting where they have agenda items that the commission is going to deal with. First of all, it's not an all-day meeting. The Jackson County one being all day is something else. But anyway, so around in Douglas County and Lawrence, they would do each agenda item and then they'd have a set aside time for general public comment. Well, Jackson County doesn't have this, and that's what the lawyer, his name's Todd Luckman, he tries to argue, is that they don't have a general public comment. But and we'll let it roll here. But then they open it up to let people speak, which is what they're doing when you sign up to speak there. Then they've opened up a forum for that person to speak.
Right.
All right, thank you. My name is Dr. Justin Spees.
Could you come up here? I can't hear. We've got all these pipes.
I've got hearing aids tonight. It's hard for me to hear you back.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so anyways, like I was saying, my name is Dr. Justin Spees. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Justin.
Dr. Justin Spees. And so I came here because I seen what appeared to be some First and 14th Amendment right violations that have happened in some of your recent meetings. And as someone that's had that happen to him, I felt a sense of duty to come and ask you some questions about your meetings. So the first question I have for you guys is what rules apply to me speaking right now?
you got on the agenda.
Yeah, how much time do I have?
You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But
See, that was an important. You mind pausing it for a second?
Exactly. Yeah, that is important because you got to clarify the rules, and that's what we get to. And that clarification was important because now we know we have 3 minutes for us to speak out of that 15-minute block. Because I was kind of honestly curious whether we were going to have a full 15 minutes or not to speak.
I was as well, and there's no real, as you look back into the meetings, as last week when you spoke, and then the week before that, the audio of when Tom and that lady spoke, the structure of it seems different in terms of. I was surprised to hear that commissioner said that we had 3 minutes to speak, because watching you the week before, the way they went back and forth with you, and it was so funny, not funny, but whatever. That they would tell you not to interrupt them, but they would just interrupt you no problem while you're up there speaking. And so this is all, I guess, within the context of having 3 minutes, but that whole exchange lasted 6 or 7 minutes or whatever it was.
Right.
But it was all within that 15-minute block. And so and so you didn't really know. And the week before that, in the audio, when Tom Holland was told to stop speaking, the next lady that spoke just started speaking. Whereas this week you went that full 15 minutes, and before they moved on to the next thing. But 2 weeks ago they just rolled into it. So getting there to speak, we really have no clarity on what their rules that Todd Luckman tried to strut around about the week before with time, place, and manner, but yet not explain what exactly the rules are within that
Right.
15 minutes.
Yep. And John, you kind of nail it. It seems like they're wasting some time in there by letting that 15-minute expire before they actually get on to the next thing. But let's watch a little bit more here.
Conversation can extend. I'd be glad to extend it.
All right.
I have
Appreciate
the
it.
ability to do that.
Appreciate it. All right. So second
And I'll tell
question
you,
is a
hold
couple
on
weeks
one second.
ago,
Another
meetings
thing.
ago, there was a guy named.
Go ahead.
Just one other thing I want to point out is, not knowing how much time I have to speak until that second he tells me I got 3 minutes. That's not necessarily an easy feat to.
Yeah, no way to prepare.
Yeah,
I know you're that guy that usually has a 3 minute something prepared, or you're working on it on your phone and timing it out and things.
Well, yeah, I have some points that I want to make, and but I'm operating under basically what had happened the last 2 meetings, like we just talked about, where they extend it as the conversation goes on. But once he told me I had 3 minutes, I was like, oh shit, let's cut to the chase. And so when I ask him about the rules and he says 3 minutes, and I say, okay, then he keeps talking, and he's like, but I'll reserve the right to extend that if it's going all right. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Great. You give
I
me
have 3 minutes. Let me get to it.
You give me 3 minutes, man. I have stuff I want to talk about here, and so now it's on at that point. The 3 minute, the timer has started. So I was thinking maybe I had 15 minutes. Now I'm down to 3 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And Tom, he came in here and he was speaking. You guys stopped him from speaking. You said that is because his attorney had sent a cease and desist letter to you guys. And I was just wondering what authority you guys have to do that. What part of the Constitution allows you guys to make it so that individual isn't allowed to come in with his free speech and also to redress government? What part of the Constitution there?
Now, see, and I noticed the attorney over there, he's always raising his hand. He's going to speak in here. And somebody made a good comment earlier today on one of the videos that talked about the lacking of the authority of the attorney to be stepping in like this. He works for the commission. He's an employee of the county. He really shouldn't be interjecting himself this way. He should be responding to the commissioners if they have a question.
And especially since they've just said that I have 3 minutes. So just wait till the 3 minutes is up. If he's going to interject, just wait till the 3 minutes is up and then do it. But I agree with what you're saying. He shouldn't be interjected,
Right.
but
Exactly.
They all should hold off.
Exactly. But I do want to let everybody know what happened with Tom Hoffman, because this is important. This man was shut down because he simply hired a lawyer and filed some paperwork. Now, Justin and I, we both have attorneys and we both have paperwork on file with the city, and they can't stop us from going in there and using our God-given right to go in there and speak, to our leaders. And this is what happened to Tom Hoffman here.
Okay. I just have not spoken your Hoffman. I just asked Jeff Energy stuff. No, enough. You have an attorney, you'll need to go through your attorney to our attorney.
To do what?
To communicate with this board. Okay. You sent the letter to us, you're part of that process.
Okay.
So that's the process that you want to communicate with us. Until our attorney is told otherwise, you don't get to communicate with us one-on-one. Go through.
And see, that's just absolutely insane, Justin, that they can take that kind of approach and just shut him down. Now, the problem is, and this is what I'm learning about Jackson County up there, is that these are people that are against the solar project that they're silencing. And Tom is one of those people that his property is going to be affected by the solar project, and he's not happy about it, so he wants to speak about that. This goes right down to exactly what we wanted to talk about tonight, was content discrimination and viewpoint discrimination, and the fact that if you don't carry the water for the city or carry the water for the county and praise them for the job that they're doing, then they're going to want to try to shut you down if you say anything negative about the plans that they have and such.
Yeah, and they try to say that it's because and they blame Tom for it. They're like, he chose it. He chose it. He
Right.
decided to get himself an attorney, and so they're trying to say, well, you know, that guy, he chose an attorney, and therefore he loses his rights to come in and talk to us. And they're so forceful and adamant about it there. But then either when you go in there and speak the last week or in this week, Luckman starts, you know, trying to
Well, he's equivocating on it. He's basically trying to say that Tom didn't have the floor to speak and this and that, but they were opening the floor. You could hear the commissioners asking if there was any other public comment or any other comment from anyone. And you even hear them say that, but he's trying to act like Tom didn't have any authority to be able to speak. But when the commissioners asked for that comment, I'm assuming, and matter of fact, I don't even need to assume anymore. I've been doing this long enough that I guarantee that if somebody would have got up there and said, we love the solar project and we think it's the greatest thing that the county's ever done, and we thank you guys for bringing this in here, they would have been allowed to continue on and on. We've seen it in Douglas County, Justin.
Yeah. And Tom tries to make the point that, well, if you're going to come in and talk, Tom, and you got an attorney, well, it makes it hard for me to be able to kind of do both, to be able to give my commission clients, which is basically they're his clients, to give them to be able to speak to them in the meeting. It's like, well, that really doesn't mean anything. I mean,
it doesn't have any impact, because the reality of this is he's supposed to have 3 minutes just to come in and express himself. And if anything, I would think that Todd Luckman would enjoy the opportunity to be able to get some dirt on somebody if they said something that they shouldn't have said or something. You know, he ought to just keep his mouth shut and let Tom talk. He might slip up and win the case for Todd. Who knows? You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Todd's little issue of not being able to serve his clients there does not trump Tom's First Amendment right to go in there and speak. Sorry, bud. I mean, you can either exit yourself, go into executive session if you want to talk about this, or just be quiet while Tom talks. You don't have to say anything, and then you can talk to them in, you know, at some other point if you wanted to. There's no
exactly.
He does not have to interject in that time period at all. So for him to say, "Oh, I can't advise my clients when you have an attorney," or however he frames it, it's like, dude, that's part of your job, man. That's called your job. That doesn't reflect on anybody's rights, you know, being suspended or nothing, you know. Tom
but
can
you
still
have to
come in and talk.
And the reality is that when they do that, they open themselves to the lawsuits, and that's what really scares them. And it's too bad that more people aren't filing and seeking out attorneys to actually defend those rights. But there's ways that you can actually push back in the room. You start quoting the law to them, and you notice, Justin, you know, we go in there and they're a little bit more hesitant to shut us down. I granted, on that first time they shut me down, it was pretty rough. Let's watch a little bit more of what you're talking about here. I think you get to the lady that tries to defend Tom here in just a moment, and they shut her down too.
I'll be clear about this. Mr. Hoffman, sorry. He characterized that as a cease and desist letter. There was an attorney that sent a letter on his behalf. He was advised at the time that occurred that.
Guys, I'm going to go ahead and pause that just for a second to let you know that I have heard from Tom himself, and he said that it is a cease and desist letter that was sent. So I can tell you that that is in fact what was sent. So whether the attorney wants to confirm or deny it or not, that's actually what happened.
Well, and this is such a waste of time. Like if he's going to answer my question, he doesn't need to get in there and try to say, well, was it a cease and desist? Was it not? It's like, dude, in the grand scheme of things, what we're talking about, it doesn't really matter. And he tried to do that shit for you the other day when you were in there last week talking. It's like he says if you're going to be in here talking, you got to say it correctly. It's like, oh, really? Correctly to who? Correctly to who? We seem to think it was a cease and desist. You seem to think otherwise. Who's correct? We're saying it the way we think what we know. And besides, that doesn't really matter. He doesn't get to stop people from speaking and say,
even if it was a full-on lawsuit, Tom could still go in there and speak.
Even if you were in there just making stuff up, he can't stop you and say it correctly. It's like, no, I don't. I'll say it how I want to say it, Todd. It's not really up to you. I'll say it how I want to say it. And it's
well, the week before they told me I wasn't being accurate, so I couldn't talk. That my words weren't correct, so I couldn't talk.
That's where we get into the issues then. So then it's like, if he's going to say that you're not allowed, if you've only got to say it correctly, and we're the ones that know it's correctly, and if you don't say that, then your rights are suspended.
Right.
It don't work that way, man. That's called putting guide rails on free speech, where you've got to do it a certain way. So he shouldn't even have interjected. We'll see here when it shows you talking. He shouldn't have even interjected in to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Sensitive nature of possible litigation could result from these communications. Now, we have obviously disagreement with this gentleman about a great number of things, but that's not relevant. He has indicated to the county that he has engaged counsel, and he has indicated his intent to proceed with that, but nothing has been done. There is a requirement, as I've said before, that counsel communicate with the counsel, not directly with an individual who's represented by counsel, which impairs our ability to communicate fully with him, because I can't advise these guys and interface with him. First Amendment rights, as I've said before, this is a public meeting. It is not a public hearing. Nothing in the Kansas Open Meetings Act requires that individuals be heard.
Right, but
and I'm going to stop it right there, because he is correct. Nothing in the Kansas Open Meetings Act requires that individuals be heard. But you and I have discussed this at length. Once a government body opens a period to public comment, they can't discriminate what public comment you're allowed to make there. Even this germane thing, we find that's hard to figure out exactly what it is. But so your 3 minutes is yours, and you are up there expressing your opinion, hopefully about what they're talking about, but maybe you have other grievances that need to be brought out and talked about.
Right. And they try to do a sleight of hand here, and they try to say that we're not required to do general public comment. And so you'll even see it here in a second, right after you press play. Keith Kelly will say, we didn't open a public comment. And I said, I didn't say that you did. I said you opened it up for him to speak. And once you open it up for him to speak, you can't restrict his speech. And you did restrict his speech. That's different. We're not making the argument that they have general public comment, so he's got to be able to speak. That could be made. But we're saying that the agenda, they've given him the floor. They've said 3 minutes. So during that 3 minutes, he doesn't forfeit his rights based on anything. But they did that to him. So they try to do this sleight of hand and say, it's not public comment. It's not public comment. It's an agenda item. It's not public comment. But it doesn't matter.
When you open it up, you got to let them talk.
But it's like,
and then you said he couldn't talk.
It's gaslighting. It's gaslighting, because when I was in there speaking, I intentionally said that they opened it up for Tom, the individual, to speak. Keith Kelly is going to counter and say, we didn't open it to the public to speak. And I'm like, didn't say that. But in essence, they did open it to the public, but just, for him, only for Tom. But they did open it up. And that's that sleight of hand. That's that trying to say that they didn't do anything wrong. thinking that we're not going to catch on to what they're saying, but it's clear that what they're trying to do there.
Well, and they fully committed to this, because one of the things I kept asking them my first visit there was that if Tom comes in and wants to put his name on that agenda, will he be allowed to speak? And they were pretty adamant that he would not be allowed to be on the agenda to speak.
Right.
And you know, that's clear and it's undeniable.
Yep.
Oh, hell.
Okay. So what about with Michael?
Your questions have been answered.
No.
generally about-
What about with Michael? He was in here speaking. You did the same thing to him. You said he couldn't speak anymore. Is that viewpoint discrimination?
No, it's not.
How is it not?
Not only was his time limited up, but he was actively courting a problem with disrupting the meeting
Oh, really? How so?
because he was being abrasive and abusive.
And so that's disrupting the meeting? So
Yeah,
you
it
open
can
up,
be.
so part of the restrictions is that what you're gonna open up for people to come in and speak, but they can't be, what was it, abrasive and abusive? What was he doing exactly? As far as I can tell, he's just asking you guys this
I'm not
question.
gonna litigate it when you see, you guys.
There's no
like to do
litigation.
it.
And see, that's the whole thing. They always fall back. I'm not going to litigate that with you. I heard that same thing from the cop that I talked to last night. We're not going to litigate that here. It's not litigation, man. It's trying to figure out what the hell you're thinking when you're doing this stuff.
Yeah, it's just a straightforward question about what they're doing. And up on the screen there, it says, abrasive and abusive are both viewpoint discrimination. So there's where we get in and we're talking about viewpoint discrimination. He's basically saying that in order for you to speak, Michael, that you can't be abrasive. You
Exactly.
cannot present yourself in an abrasive manner. However, we decide to define abrasive. So first of all, it's unconstitutional because it's vague. It's vague. And because it's vague, it then becomes very subjective and it's able to be wielded around. So
Exactly.
Todd Luckman there can say any person you don't like, abrasive, out of here. And you'd be like, what are you talking about? I wasn't being abrasive. I was just talking.
Well,
Like,
here-
nope, abrasive. Get the fuck out of here.
Let's do this. I've got the clip right here. Let's see exactly how he shut me down here.
I would challenge that I might have already been gone had you not decided to interrupt me and elaborate in this legal manner the way you have and not answer the question.
We're done.
We're on. Have a good day.
I mean, that's how surprising it was. It was just bam, we're done.
Well, and if people want to go back and watch the whole clip, throughout the whole time, for Todd at that meeting right there, right now, to say that you were being abusive and abrasive and abusive, and that was you were trying to disrupt a meeting by being abrasive and abusive. People go back and watch you speak. The entire time from the get go, you saying sir, you're being nice. There's no volume raised on voices. Not that matters, but there was no volume raised. There was nothing at all. And so there he's saying that what we did to shut him down is because he was being abrasive, and so that's viewpoint discrimination.
And that that gets to the core of part of the fight that we have with this whole thing. Is people hate the cuss words, Okay, you accuse us.
Cuss. You didn't even cuss.
Well, this is my point, though. We go into these meetings, and this is not unlike any other meeting that I've approached from the beginning, where I've first gone in. I don't know these people. The same thing I did here in town. You go in and you approach them with the respect that the office deserves, and then they accuse you of being abrasive and abusive just because you don't agree with them, and you're trying to tell them there's a better way, and it's your right to do that. But you become abrasive and abusive to them. And at some point it gets frustrating. And for me personally, it gets frustrating continually being called abrasive and abusive. So fuck you. That's kind of where I get to on that.
Well, and you got to think so Todd is the one that would have initiated all of this. So you talk about being abrasive, is that Todd, basically, anytime you were talking,
he kept interrupting the whole time.
He would interrupt and interject. And had it been the way you do your 3 minutes is you would say your 3 minutes and you'd be done. So the whole abrasive thing, there would have been no back and forth interaction had Todd, and then the commission followed suit. I mean, some of them are even interjecting these snarky questions, as you're talking, that one commissioner says, oh yeah, whose opinion? You're like, the Constitution's opinion. I mean,
right.
they don't even need to be saying that.
Well, Justin, it goes even further than that. I mean, the intimidation started from the moment I got there. I got there and started setting up my camera, and Keith had a problem with where I was and came over and corrected me and told me I couldn't be where I was, which was over to the left here by that cabinet. And when he came up and did that, I moved, right? But when he came back in the room, I wasn't where he wanted me to be, and he tried to intimidate me. Check this out.
Commission meeting in August.
wrong. That was the wrong one here. Let's go to Keith's power.
There we go. There we go. If you would, instead of standing in the door, find a place to sit.
Sir, I wasn't standing here. This is where I was when you
would
walked in. Good morning. Could you calm down just a little bit?
Thank you. Glad you're here.
I am.
I mean, that's a power move he's trying to play on somebody. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know anything about me. And honestly, I was just standing looking at that map that's on the wall over there.
So where exactly were you standing at?
I was standing at like by the doorway there, just a couple feet into the door, looking at the map that was on the wall, that was on the left side of the wall there.
And he was telling you need to stand out of the way.
Yeah. After he had already told me I couldn't have my camera on that side, and I'd already moved my camera, now it became that I had stayed there for somehow. But my point is this is the kind of intimidation tactic. They've got to be in control. They've got to express that I'm in charge here, and you're going to have to do what I say. And that's how it gets started.
That's exactly right. And that's what happened when you went and spoke last week, is that he stopped you and he said, you be polite or I'll have you removed, and be polite. Right. And so that in itself is viewpoint discrimination. But also at the same time, there was no reason to say that, because again, it was like Todd Luckman was the one that was trying to badger you up there. And so this whole notion of being polite, it's like, well, first of all, it could go both ways. It could go both ways. There's no reason for Todd to be doing what he was doing. But yep. Secondly, once that commissioner takes that power move and commits to saying you need to present yourself, just like Todd did there, you can't be abrasive. But if they say you need to present yourself in a specific way, well, that's discrimination. Like, who is he to say that you have to be fucking polite? Who's right? Why? What exactly in free speech says you have to be polite?
Exactly. And this is the whole point about the First Amendment. Again, I'm going to say this over and over and over till the day I die. The First Amendment was written to protect the words that you don't like. Otherwise, it wouldn't be necessary. It's that simple.
And here's the key, though. Here's the key, that those things apply during your 3 minutes. So now you step outside of that 3 minutes.
Now you've got possible some issues. You might be disrupting. You might be creating a disturbance or being disorderly. There's codes that can address that.
He can address things to run that meeting, but in that 3 minutes, that 3 minutes is your 3 minutes. It's already, it's set aside. So you can be talking. It doesn't matter what's going on in there, and in any way that you're presenting yourself, as long as you ain't threatening no one. He cannot tell you that you need to be polite. It's not a requirement. You don't have to, in order to get your First Amendment right for free speech and to redress your government, you don't have to check your impoliteness at the door and go up there and take your hat off and be like, here I am to be real nice to you while I speak to you for these 3 minutes. No, you don't have to do that.
Well, and the other thing that you can do is you can do the same thing that they're doing, which is what I'm about to do here when I sat down, was start to establish the ground rules. And you can do that to them as well. Keith tries to express his authority. Well, the public has a little bit of authority, because you had answered one of the key questions. How much time do I have to speak? And so here's how I followed that.
All right, since we've already clarified that we have 3 minutes, Christy, if you would let me know when 3 minutes is expired, I'd like to just have 3 minutes of uninterrupted government redress here. So last week I came in here and received quite pushback, and now I'm being called abusive and what was the other word, antagonistic or something like that?
I believe it was abrasive.
Okay, again, 3 minutes of uninterrupted government redress. I'd appreciate it, please.
They needed a reminder. That's all that was. They're just a little reminder that I have my 3 minutes. And if you'll notice, they understood that. I think they clearly understood what was happening in that room. And that's what really needs to that I want to make clear here, is these commissioners do understand when you know what's going on. They weren't able to tell us that we don't have rights, because we know. And once they figure out that you know what's going on and that you know what the actual rules are and you can call them on the rules, they'll start to back down just a little bit. And that's kind of what happened here.
But abrasive, aggressive, however those adjectives are, there's something called Cohen v. California. It's a landmark case from a number of years ago that says abrasive speech is free speech. And so if I was to come in here and say, fuck the commission, it's protected speech. Do we all agree? I think we can all agree there. So when I come in and I speak and I'm not being abrasive or aggressive and I get labeled as abrasive or aggressive, it makes me wonder what's going on in the commission room. The other thing that I've noticed is that we misconstrue the laws and the rules to support ourselves in the bad decisions that we're making. I got told that it was Constitution 101, but I'm afraid that this room does not understand content discrimination, because when you open the meeting to a public comment, you don't have the right to silence that public comment because it's abrasive. Abusive you may be able to get away with, but you're going to need to have some fighting words or some actual true threats or things like that. That's what the law says. So if I was to come in here and make a direct threat to one of you that I was going to do something after the meeting, for example, that would be something that would be criminal and would be able to be shut down as not free speech. However, when I'm sitting here and I'm redressing commissioners who I've heard actions from in recordings and witnessed myself that they have a disrespect for the community that they're serving, that's disappointing. And Mr. Hoffman, you may not have opened the meeting to a public hearing, as Mr. Luckman likes to distinguish between the hearing and the meeting, but when you do allow comment, you're not able to restrict the content of that comment. And the fact that a gentleman has filed a cease and desist or any other legal paperwork, that's going to restrict private communications. Your attorney may be right on that, but that does not have a single bit of fucking impact on that individual's ability to come in here and redress his commission. It does not. Because if you're going to allow me to be on the agenda, you have to allow him.
Okay, now I'd like to make comments.
Well, he had signaled to me that my 3 minutes, or Christy had, and so I didn't want to interrupt there or go any further. But here's the situation. We discovered that the rule was 3 minutes. I demanded my 3 minutes as a citizen. I think they recognized that I knew that they shouldn't be interrupting me, and they were probably a little bit, taken aback that something might come from it if they did. I don't know. And the attorney didn't move to interrupt me that time.
No, it's an interesting thing, because it's like you shouldn't even have to go in there and demand that 3 minutes. Like when earlier when I was speaking, it should have just been a same kind of situation. Speak for 3 and be done. So I don't even know how they set the timer for my 3 minutes, because Todd spoke for most of my time, so I'm not even sure about it. But for them to now the next speaker, they recognize that they're just going to sit there for 3 minutes and not engage. It's like, well, why?
But Justin, I had used their rules to establish the ground rules. I'd asked Christy to mark my 3 minutes. She's the city clerk. That's her responsibility. We see it in every meeting we go to. And so I had somebody there to mark my 3 minutes. They had recognized that they had a time clock going. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Maybe they were just bored with hearing me and just sat there and listened. But, with the way Todd kept interrupting the week before and the way he likes to interrupt other people, I got to wonder if they didn't recognize the fact that we do have that right to speak. And I think they know that. I guess that's my point. They know this, but they're abusing it, and they're taking advantage of people that don't.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we saw that in Elk County too. It's the same thing we saw down there.
That's why I hope people that are checking out our live stream here and checking out our work, that they recognize that we're trying to help them understand those kind of things that go on in these meetings. We're not just sitting here like taking bong rips and just fucking shooting the shit, shooting the breeze. We're really trying to highlight this for a serious viewer that is interested in what the government is doing, how they see citizens, what can be done to advocate for yourself, because these
how you
rights,
can push back, how you can push back.
these rights that you just assume that once you walk in there and start speaking, you're just going to have your rights. They'll swoop in and take them from you. So it's good.
No,
to,
there is a very real thing, and that's why I have this banner that I should have put up earlier. The First Amendment is not negotiable, and if you don't exercise it regularly, it'll go away. They'll take it from you just by the fact that you don't use it.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So I hope that people recognize that this is trying to help people see that what these governments do, and there might be a sense of, oh, that's not happening where I'm at, but I've been amazed how much I've seen it already, and to see that each meeting, like we were talking about earlier, is different. You get into different counties, and the way they do things, they're just kind of structured differently in terms of the structure of how they conduct their business there. But hopefully people see this for what it is, that it's helpful for them.
Now I'm going to back up here because I think I accidentally skipped over your Constitution 201 part where you actually, I think maybe you were the reason that Todd shut
it
up,
and then you restricted his speech, and I'm just how so?
This is not a public hearing.
Right, but you've allowed them to speak, and matter of fact, after Tom spoke, you opened it up for everyone. You said any other comments, and a lady tried to speak and advocate for him. You shut her down, and then again you asked.
We did not.
Yes, you did.
Oh, you did, though. It's on video. It's recorded. You said any other comments, and so that lady was.
And see, that's the other thing. When it's not on video, Justin, they will sit there and deny it like it didn't happen. But here's the video of it, guys.
Right. Yes, Pam.
Mr. Hoffman is a member of the public. Is he not? Is
He
he not able to
he
speak
chose
to
his
the
direct.
public?
I'll let our attorney explain this.
Does he, he relinquishes those rights to speak at a public meeting?
No, he doesn't relinquish any rights. He hasn't relinquished any rights. He has chosen himself to seek this method of communication because he has I think, more than a political issue. So I'm not going to go into detail about it. I think we both are trying to respect at least the legal side of this.
And it's just more mumbo jumbo about the legal side of things and how he can't address his commission.
Yeah, and that lady is an angel. She's like this anonymous lady because all you hear is her voice there. I'm sure you can see it on the agenda, but it's rare that you see somebody get their rights violated and the person immediately recognizes it and then calls them out on it. And that's exactly what she did. And that was the point I was trying to make. It wasn't like she had walked over there and signed up on the agenda to talk specifically about what Tom had just talked about and what she saw. No, apparently she might have been on the agenda for some point on the meeting, but she rolled right into speaking and they didn't stop her. So she just rolled right in and said and recognized what it was. Like, he's a taxpayer. He can still talk. He's basically, saying what we're saying. You can't shut him down.
Right.
And so they then went into that mumbo jumbo. But yeah, what a fortunate thing that lady's there that saw that and called him out on that. Oh, that's an American right there as well. Mm-hmm.
Speaking, and you guys shut her down.
On the agenda to speak on that topic.
She wasn't on the agenda.
She was.
She just started speaking.
She was on the agenda.
And she got moved up. So there was no like, okay, you're next, lady. She just started speaking and you shut her down. And then you asked if there was other comments in the room.
Well, we're not going to sit here and
Here comes the attorney again.
Okay. So what about with Michael?
Your questions have been answered.
No. What about with Michael? He was in here speaking. You did the same thing to him. You said he couldn't speak anymore. Is that viewpoint discrimination?
No, it's not.
How is it not?
Not only was his time limit up, but he was actively courting a problem with disrupting the meeting.
Oh, really? How so?
Because he was being abrasive and abusive.
And so that's disrupting the meeting?
Yeah, I must have missed the Constitution 201, Justin, but that was a great comment when you told him that, well, you held Constitution 101. Let's talk Constitution 201 and kind of educated him on the viewpoint discrimination with that.
Yeah, and what a phrasing right there. He was actively courting a problem with disrupting a meeting. Have you ever heard of a more lawyerly phrasing of a word there? He's trying to get everything into that there, like he got to get the actively part in there. But the tape don't lie. You weren't trying to actively court with disrupting a meeting. You were sitting there asking questions, talking in a calm voice, and it's that same gaslighting shit that that's what the papers try to spin that as well. They try to say it's like conduct, but it's like, no, it's really just It's not behavior. It's really just words. That's all this is, guys. And that's what's going on here. It had nothing to do with you actively courting disrupting a meeting, whatever that means. It had nothing to do with that. Anybody with 2 brain cells can go back and 2 eyeballs and look at your talk there and know that you were not being abrasive or abusive. Not that that even fucking matters. You could be those things. It wouldn't even have mattered, but you can tell that Todd is lying right there. He's straight up lying and
But they
trying
got
to
those
say,
keywords. Like you said, they've got those keywords. You're actively and you're vocally and you're aggressively and these other keywords that they use to make it like you've done something that would rise to the nature of disorderly conduct or
exactly. He even said
you
you were being abusive. He even said you were being
Right.
abusive. And it's like that's a, those extraordinary claims require some extraordinary evidence. You'd have to be able to go back and to the footage and be like, okay, this is where you were being abusive. You straight up said to me that you were, gonna, however you would describe abusive. But even still, just looking into the word abusive, no, it's still viewpoint discrimination. If you're not threatening anybody, then go, have your 3 minutes is what it should be. And he just is fucking gaslighting right there, and he's just trying to revisionist history, and he's trying to say, don't believe your lying eyes, that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, let's take a look at this week's meeting with well, yesterday at the city commission. This was kind of interesting, man. I'll tell you what, there was some Germanity going on.
Germanity, yeah.
And now, see, I'm going to stop this because the mayor here is in a situation where I'm not going to approach that podium. The last time that I went up there to speak, well, a couple times ago when I went up there to speak, that's where I got that citation for trespassing that I went to court for. But he claims that he hadn't started public comment. So from this point forward, or from that point forward, he needs to let me know that we're definitely doing public comment and the floor is definitely mine. Here we go.
Well, he could just say first speaker, you're up, something like that. Not necessarily
Right.
for you, because there's really no rule for a line. There's no sign up sheet, so it would just be first speaker.
Well, and I'm standing there dead center of the room, and he's looking around the room like, who's going to come up? Who's going to come up?
Yeah. And there's a line of people. There's people I'm lined up behind you. There's people lined up
Right.
behind me. There's a lot of people there to speak that night. Yesterday.
Yep, and you'll see that in some of these angles, I think.
Time here. Everybody go ahead and exit the room before we start open public comment.
And notice everybody leaving over there.
Bye, Amber.
Yep.
Bye, Amber.
City attorney Amber Sellers.
And Amber, our commissioner, they're dead center that's leaving that can't sit through some public comment because she's too, I don't know, too something.
Don't forget to flush. All right. Item K, open public comment.
Okay. The public is allowed to speak on issues or items that are not scheduled for discussion on the agenda. Comments should be limited to issues or items germane to the business of the governing body. The commission will not discuss or debate these items, nor will the commission make decisions on items presented during this time. Members of the public will be limited to 3 minutes for comments. Right. Open public comment. Who would like to go first?
Hey, looking around the room.
I'm standing here waiting to be acknowledged. I need a personal invitation from you as a result of what happened a few weeks ago. I'm waiting to be acknowledged, Mayor.
You're more than welcome to come up, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's talk about banning people from your Facebook page.
Hey, Michael.
In the Knight Institute v. Trump case, a lawsuit challenging President.
Hey, I was just kind of looking at the comments here, and just two that I wanted to just mention real quick. John James says their leaving is disrupting the meeting, and that's exactly right. Because there's nowhere built into the meeting that we stop and pause. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was muted. That's 100% right, because the mayor is just like pausing the whole meeting so that they can disrupt it to leave.
Disrupted to leave. There's no reason for them to leave. You know what I mean? There's not like an emergency or anything. They're just opting to leave. And people, freely up and leave the meeting and whatnot. You don't have to stop the meeting every time somebody comes out. But if they're going to be a disruption that stops the meeting for them to leave, then that's actually a disruption. And then the other thing that I want to mention is seeing to me, this is in reference to the Jackson County there. It says, I love it that you asked the rules to speak right at the jump. They only had one rule and apparently not one other thing in their procedures. Any protocol should be drafted from agenda proceedings. That's exactly right. So, if Todd Luckman wants to hang his hat on the procedures for the open meetings, then they're going to have to these should
Develop
be,
them.
they have to be developed. They have to have been voted on. The public would have had to have the right to come in and express their views on what they're trying to do to limit public comment.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been voted on. So they should be readily available. They should be readily available, but it's not that way.
Well, not to our knowledge yet. We're getting those core requests ready to submit so that we can hopefully get the rules. And I think we talked to Christy up there, and it sounded like she was concerned about making sure she could get her hands on some too. So, and that's the other thing I want to point out in all these different little counties that we've gone to. It's usually turned out to be the city clerk or the county clerk that ends up being the person who's the most responsible in the county and probably should be leading everything at the meetings, But we'll go ahead and continue on here. Sing to Me makes a really good point. You got to know the rules to get started.
Trump's blocking critics on Twitter. The lawsuit maintains that the real Donald Trump account is a public forum under the First Amendment, from which government may not exclude people based simply on their views.
Now, guys, what I'm quoting here is a bunch of different case law surrounding banning somebody from the Facebook
who
page,
remain in the public
from the
forum,
government
the
Facebook
opportunity
page,
to hear
because
critical
the
voices.
City of
This was
Lawrence
decided
municipal
on July
government
9th,
page right now,
2019,
I cannot
and a petition
access.
for
I
rehearing was
can't
denied
get
on
there.
March 23rd,
I've got
2020,
video showing
in a
that I'm
3-0
blocked
decision
from it.
of the
And
Second Circuit Appeals.
nobody wants to answer that. I submit core requests to get
quorum of the
information,
court
and they
denied a
find ways
rehearing
around
by a vote
that.
to 7-2.
But it is actionable,
There's a case
and
named Linke v. Freed,
that's
the
what's going to have to
Sixth
happen
case
here, apparently.
addressing the application of First Amendment to government officials' social media accounts. This brief argued that the Supreme Court should affirm the Ninth Circuit's decision. Government officials use social media extensively to communicate with constituents, provide public notices and key debate policy, political issues. These are vital spaces for public discourse, and in order to preserve the public's right to engage with each other and with government representatives, the Knight Institute joined this and argued that the court should adopt a functional approach to the state action test that asks when a social media account is a government action. And that opinion was actually just made in August. There's another case, O'Connor Ratcliffe v. Garnier. This is a Ninth Circuit case addressing the application of First Amendment to government officials' social media accounts. Again, directly related to the city's social media page. This brief argued that the Supreme Court should affirm the Ninth Circuit's decision, the one we just discussed. Government officials and agencies use social media extensively. Again, these are vital spaces for public discourse. On March 15, 2024, the Supreme Court articulated a new state action test in its opinion in Linke and vacated the Ninth Circuit's earlier opinion. Now on remand, the Ninth Circuit must determine whether the school board trustees in this case spoke on behalf of the government or not. Now, the reality is it comes down on whether you speak on behalf of the government. The city's Facebook page does that. You are right now in violation of this, and I have screenshots to prove it. And your citation here, I want to let you know.
And here we go. I invited Bart to come to my court hearing today.
This is the citation that you got me with your bullshit a few weeks ago. I wanted to invite you to the court hearing tomorrow. It's at 10:30, if the case actually gets heard. I want to let you know that this will not go away. It's going to be a year or two, maybe 3 before this goes away, because you'll have to convict me in municipal over here, and that's going to be a lift, because I'm going to call all of you in.
Time.
Well, you know, the thing is, Michael Hoffman went 15 seconds over.
Here, Justin, we've done this a couple times with the commission. Here's a direct viewpoint discrimination, a direct individual discrimination activity happening here. I'll take you guys back in the meeting a little bit earlier. There was a gentleman up there speaking. His name was Michael Allman. And he's a regular in there. And this is one of the arguments they've made, Justin, against us, is that we're in there enough that we know these rules and that we We know that we only have this 3 minutes and this and that, but there's other people that are quite regular in there and know the rules just as well. You know, Michael Allman has probably been to more meetings in his time than I ever have. And here we go. I mean, he comes in there and the mayor tries to silence him. The difficulty here is the mayor has taken such a stern approach toward us. You know, just a few seconds over and the police are called. You know,
Right.
just a couple seconds here and boom, that's a warning. You know, boom, that's this real quickly. But watch how they handle Michael.
Commission meeting in August. We talked to pretty much all
Time,
of
I'm
the
sorry.
property owners.
Michael, that's
67%
Michael, that's
supported it.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave if you
67%.
continue.
So I
Thank
encourage
you. Michael, please step away.
Thank you for doing a good job.
Yeah, that was me in the background saying arrest him. I mean, he went way over, longer, a lot longer than I've seen you or I get allowed for without police being called over to escort us out.
I know, man. And I was just thinking back, 2 weeks ago when I was in there speaking, I was talking about, during general public comment, I was talking about my lawsuits that I had filed. And he stopped me and said that it wasn't germane. And so when I tried to just present the reasoning why it would be, he then said that because I was still speaking about it, I was being a disruption. And then he ordered the police to they recess, or they didn't recess, but he ordered the police to remove me. And so within a second just of me saying, what are you talking about, I'm suing you guys, this is a lawsuit against you guys, I mean, it's just a second or two, and they're moving to have me removed from there. And it's not like I was above the 3 minutes and kept going. This was within my time. So it's not like I was even like, there's Justin down there disrupting the meeting. No, I was just talking. And within that time, the police are going to remove me. This is a guy, his 3 minutes has gone up, and he's gone 14 seconds beyond that. And we're going to get into definition of, disruption. Let's go. I mean, if you're going to come at someone as being a disruption during their 3 minutes, then you surely
Right.
have to go at this guy for going over his 3 minutes.
Well, and for what was it, 15 seconds? And that's what I told him here in this meeting.
Didn't get thrown out, so I'm feeling like I can go about
Can you
15
please
seconds
exit the
over
podium?
and still not get
I'm giving
thrown
you a
out
warning.
tonight. I understand that you gave a warning, but at 15 seconds
Sir,
over, Michael
please,
Allman
can you
still hadn't
exit?
been arrested. That's all I'm saying. Have a good night, Bart.
Got my 15 seconds. That's all. I mean, I went 15 seconds over and walked away. Just establishing the fact that if you're going to let him do it and you're not going to act, then you're not going to act when I go 15 seconds over. And that's the thing. If I'd have gone 15 seconds over without Michael doing that earlier, he would have had police escort me out.
Right. And you wouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't
No,
have
and
done
I wouldn't have done it. But the fact that and here's the thing again, Bart, if you get to see this, here's the whole point, buddy. You come so quickly at us. You give us no room at all. And so the room that you give other people is a problem. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, and it's not like we're even saying, hey, Bart, you don't let us go a second or two over. We're saying you're not even going the other direction. We're not even getting room within our allotted time to speak, and you're saying that we need to be removed. It's like,
Well, it's no different than you and him interrupting you, saying you're not germane, and you having to get to it, real quickly. If you don't get to it quick enough, we hear people going in there introducing themselves and running down a whole resume of shit they've done that's not germane to the city.
Well, and that's always been my point. It's like you could speak for 2 minutes and 58 seconds, and in the last fucking second, bring it all together with one word, boom, tied together, germane. You could do that. So
Yes.
who's this? And all that 2 minutes and 58 seconds was needed to get to your final point there. Who's to say that you can't present your point in a certain way? And that's where it gets into the whole germane thing. It's like, this is the way that I communicate, and I'm expressing myself this way, and I will get to my point when I get to it. It's not up to you. This is called free speech. If I'm delivering my point the way you want me to deliver it, it just doesn't come across. It comes across the way you want to hear it. And I don't want you to hear it that way. I want you to hear it the way that I'm hearing it. And so that's where I get into this, like, who they're so quick to say what's germane. You got to get to it right away. Otherwise, it's just not germane. And not only that, you could wrap everything up with, it'd be like, okay, I'm talking about this right now, but at the end, I'm going to ask you some questions about it, and that's what's going to make it germane. Is that I want to know your guys' opinion on what I'm talking about right now, and I can't get your opinion on it if I don't get to talk about this item right here. And at the end, and I ask you a question about it. They simply don't know where you're going with it when you start off, so they need to stop assuming that you're just off into something that it doesn't relate.
Well,
Everything
and Justin, I don't think
relates.
it is much. I don't think it's as much that they're assuming that we're off. And I think it's him looking for a way. And
No doubt.
you see him watching the clock. I mean, Bart looked at the clock for like 20 seconds, watching it counting down when I was speaking. And it's, come on, guy, just let me speak for 3 minutes. Sherry will let you know when it's over. You know.
Exactly.
So listen to him here. This is I think you're coming up next, aren't you?
Yeah, I come up right behind you. So remember, you just talked about all those lawsuits.
Yes, and this is the thing. They had shut you down the week before for trying to talk about the lawsuit against the city, which is germane to the city.
I don't get it, man. I seriously don't get it. It's a serious, dead serious question. I cannot get an answer about. I mean, you'll hear me talking here, but that's basically what it is that, Michael just talked for 2.5 minutes, which it was 2.5 minutes about all those lawsuits.
Well,
Not a
and was it
single one of
germane
them.
though? Because and see, maybe they're saying that mine wasn't germane either. I don't know, because maybe they're not acknowledging.
No,
They're
they're
not
saying-
acknowledging that I'm blocked.
No, well, clearly they're saying that it is germane because they allowed it.
Well, what is
And-
germane?
Well, that's precisely what I'm saying. It's like I can't get an answer. So if you guys are saying that what Michael's talking about there with all of those lawsuits that you guys aren't even named in, and I'm not saying you have to be named in a lawsuit for it to be germane. Maybe those lawsuits do relate to the city, and that's why they're
Right.
okay. Yeah, all those. Yep, we know that they're not. They're not doing that. But let's say that they are. Well, then surely the lawsuit that I have against them is germane as well. That's the issue there. It's like, why in the fuck do I not get to talk about it? And I can't get
Right.
an answer from them about it.
Well, and you ask them.
Guys, what is going on? Why was Michael just allowed to read 2.5 minutes of lawsuits? And 2 weeks ago, I sat here at this podium and was reading about my lawsuit against you guys, against the city, against you as the commission, and against 2 of the mayors. And I was, within that lawsuit, was pointing out that it's impossible to know what germane means around here because of your inconsistencies. And I was pointing that out. And Bart, you stopped me and said that wasn't germane. And then when I tried to defend that by saying, how could that possibly not be germane, Bart? It's a lawsuit about you guys. You said that I was now being a disruption and you were ordering the police to remove me. Michael just read 2.5 minutes of lawsuits that don't even concern you guys. None of those relate to the city whatsoever, and he was allowed to sit there and talk. What the hell's going on? This is a serious question. I wish the city attorneys wouldn't have packed up and left. Maybe they could give me an answer. How in the world am I supposed to know what germane means when I'm reading about a lawsuit that I filed against you guys, making it germane to you? You're using taxpayer money to defend it. And you're telling me that's not germane, and then ordering the police to have me arrested, and then at the last second you change your mind. You did that 2 weeks to me in a row. We're going to have the police remove me under threat of arrest because I wasn't being germane. But Michael just read 2.5 minutes of lawsuits. So I want to know, how would anybody know what germane is? How is that not clear cut? A violation of your standard of germane, and in the process is viewpoint discrimination. I'm not allowed to talk about lawsuits in here. Someone else was just allowed to talk about lawsuits without being stopped. Why is that? Why the difference? Why am I treated differently? Why am I stopped? It's the same thing when Amber Sellers said that I couldn't speak about the Community Police Review Board because it had already been spoken about earlier in the meeting. Meanwhile, Michael and Josh Seiden both spoke about it. No problem, wasn't stopped at all. But the second I bring it up, I'm stopped. Why? What am I doing differently? And why won't you answer that? It seems like it's a pretty straightforward question. You could explain your reasoning. Like, how is the lawsuit that I filed against the city of Lawrence, the city commission, 2 of its commissioners, one is Lisa Larson, who's in this meeting right now. One of them was an ex-one, Courtney Shipley. That's not germane to your guys' business? You got to be kidding me. But lawsuits about Trump and Twitter and Facebook and all that shit, that's germane to you guys. But a lawsuit about you guys has got to be stopped and have the police remove me for what? The police remove me for talking about something that is germane.
Man, and I got to tell you, you know, the juxtaposition of what just happened there, Justin, compared to Jackson County when they said, and like we said earlier when we were talking about that, you can have current lawsuits against, you have current lawsuits against this commission and against a person, well, several people sitting on that commission. And you are still able to go in there and speak as much as Bart Littlejohn will let you anyway.
Yeah, you don't lose your rights just because you have any kind of legal stuff going with the city.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, and so it's just, you know, it's clear cut viewpoint discrimination. It's and I just like they'll stop and answer, you know, like if some new speaker comes in there and they're doing general public comment and they ask a question, the commission oftentimes will be like, yeah, you know, they'll respond. And it's like a benign question, but here it is. I'm asking a serious question because multiple times now you guys have tried to arrest me. I seriously do not know why you are doing what you're doing. I need an explanation. And they're just like, I'm not answering that. It's like, well, why can't you answer? Just give me your reasoning. You have to have reasoning. Just give me the reasoning. I mean, I kind of need to know because clearly it's just my rule. It's just for me. You know, it doesn't apply to anybody else. I need to have that answer of why I'm not allowed to speak or at what point am I crossing over, you know. And so I need to know that stuff, and they just refuse. They refuse to give any answer whatsoever. It's like it's not even a thing. It's not even it's not even an issue.
Yep. And man, you know, the comparison though, and we've got two counties in Kansas that are technically under all the same laws, all the same regulations, right? And we got one that says if you are suing us or you file legal paperwork or you have an attorney, you can't talk to us. And then we got another one that you are currently suing that you're allowed to talk to. I would think that, I don't know, does the attorney general pay attention that counties are just, you know, one way this way, one way that way? And is it a rural city thing or is it just a practice thing? Is it the fact that these rural areas just don't get enough experience in this area? They don't have enough citizens coming in there questioning things. I noticed that the city clerks tend to get brushed up on Cora when we're around.
Yeah, when we went in there to Jackson County after we left the meeting, we went up to the clerk's office to do some Cora requests, and they couldn't find their form. So it seems like that's something that hadn't happened probably in a long time. So that they were trying to find their stuff. I think they were even trying to create one. So, but yeah, they get brushed up on it, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And in the process, hopefully citizens are getting brushed up on it too. Like citizens should be in there, you know, requesting stuff if they have a reason to, you know. And so hopefully they're getting brushed up on it as they see this as well, that, you know, we do have that right to go in and submit those requests. And so we should.
And the more you do it, the easier it gets, the easier they get handling it, and they're going to get more experience. The one thing I've noticed is that when you go to these smaller towns and the smaller communities, it's like they seem to just be set in their ways and they have their way of doing things, and nobody's really challenged it enough that people like Keith Kelly get bold and decide they can start manhandling the community and just doing what they want.
Well, they let that position go to their head, and they think that they're bigger than that position. But the truth is, like, that position is going to continue on. They're not going to be in that position forever. I mean, just look at somebody like Josh Seiden. That's a perfect example. The guy thought that he thought he was the DA's office. He thought he represented the government itself, and that the thing would come to a stop if he was not in that spot. But nope, he's gone, and somebody else just took his spot. And so that's the thing with these commissioners. They get voted in, they get voted out. You know, they always need to remember that the power is with the people. It's not with them. And if they want someone to be polite or if they don't like cuss words, it don't matter, man. It's not your meeting. Yeah, you're running the meeting, but it is the people's meeting, and it's especially their meeting when they're in there speaking. You don't have to listen to how Keith Kelly thinks that we need to present ourselves in his presence to be able to address him in there.
Well, and I think there's no better time than right now to show what you're looking forward to, Jackson County, and what other counties might be looking forward to once that education starts to take hold and once they start realizing how things have to be. Because what we saw in Elk County on Monday, now Monday we went to Jackson County, Monday also the Elk County meeting happened. I was honestly on the fence all the way through the weekend whether I was going to go or not, but the Jackson County thing, because of the way they were acting and because of the intensity which they acted, we decided that was a priority to go in there and push back on them a little bit. But man, what happened in Elk County was just absolutely beautiful, guys. I'm going to put this up here. They're going to approve some minutes, and then you're going to see some people talking here that's just beautiful.
Go ahead. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. I also move to approve the minutes of the special meeting on September 19th as presented. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the special meeting from September 19th as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried 3-0. Okay, public forum. Anybody that wishes to address us? You bet.
My son is serving in the United States Navy as a nuclear machinist. He is currently deployed, and his deployment has been extended numerous times. Being close to China, of course, has me extremely worried for his safety. I am so proud of my son and his shipmates for their service, offering their lives as a sacrifice for all our freedoms. All the while, you are here in his home area violating people's rights that he is currently fighting for. I understand your ignorance of the Constitution, but now that it has come to light, fix it. To continue to violate rights on a daily basis after knowing it's happening is bullshit. You continue to double down in a pissing contest that has no benefit for our county and will end up costing lots of taxpayer money. You may believe that only people who are not from here have a problem with the door buzzer and the freedom of speech violations. But as a taxpayer to this county, again, I'm pissed. Get off your asses, walk down the door, remove the buzzer, and quit violating the rights. I think it is time that the commissioners' meetings need to be changed. The taxpayer, the ones who pay the salaries, need to be able to be here without having to take off work to come and voice their opinions. I know that it's probably easier to conduct the business of the county without the public being involved, but that time's ended. I'm extremely disappointed and embarrassed by the actions of the county commissioners, Jill Gillette and Paul Dean, for their behavior. I also want to publicly thank Carrie Herod for her professionalism and public service. Come on, Elk County, you can really do better than this.
I second that.
Okay, anybody else?
I do. You know, if I'm here, I'm going to say something.
Good.
These are not gifts. These are for you to leave here to refer to. Well, constitutional book list. I'll give the county clerk one. And I want to address the door buzzer too. When Doug Hanks was sheriff, that's when that all came about, because of a threat to a court lady in the court office. Okay, so we locked down the whole courthouse for one department, okay? That woman's no longer here. Neither is the court clerk that was here. Everybody's gone when that was for. I don't like doing it. When Doug was sheriff, you could push the button. Now, maybe it was just because Rita knew who I was, but I could push the button. I didn't have to tell her anything. Just go on in. Go on in the door. You know, the locked doors is a problem. Having to tell who you are and where you're going is a problem, because maybe I'm coming to do something that I don't want people to know what I'm doing. Just think about that, you guys. I'm not asking you to comment. I'm just telling you that is a problem, and it needs to be fixed. I also want to bring to your attention that the Chautauqua County School Board just got written up and fined by the Attorney General for abusing executive sessions. Not that you guys have. I'm not accusing anybody here of doing it. But they did. It's been in the paper. Please don't embarrass us like they were embarrassed down there. Please try to, like she said, do better. That's all I have right now.
Thank you.
I mean, that's what happens when the citizens begin to realize.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And something that I wanted to point out that I didn't point out the other day when we covered this is we did mention that the guy filming, but you hear him, he says, I second that. And so that's another person in there that the commission is knowing that that's another voice in there. So yes, those two women, Tisha and Janet, yep, they said that. And but also I wanted to point out that what that guy said, I second that, because that lets the commission know that there's more people in there as well. And that's a good thing.
And, you know, I'm really glad that Tisha brought up the fact of moving the meeting, because that's a hindrance. That's a block. You know, up here in Lawrence, our meetings at both the county level and the city level are both in the evening time where people are able to attend. Unfortunately, we don't see the kind of attendance we'd like to see, but there are citizens there. In these smaller counties, I get the impression that there's a lot of people that would like to go in there and be a part of that. And you're probably in those rural areas, you're going to get more community styled involvement, more community participation, because they're more close knit in those areas. Exactly. And so the idea that you're having this meeting at 9 in the morning through 4:30 in the afternoon, or as in Elk County, having it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, and, you know, those things are a hindrance. And it's, in my mind, it's almost prior restraint. You know, it's almost looks like it's been done or kind of a purposeful move to make it inconvenient for the people.
That's what I was just going to say. It's like when you look at it, it just seems intentional. Like there's no other reason for them to do that. Like you could do it in the evening where it would increase just because it's after work hours. It would that alone would increase the participation. So it looks like it's intentional that they're just not wanting to increase participation if they could just move it to the evening.
Well, and some of the things that I see that they're doing there is they're receiving department reports and things like that. And those are things that we don't see here every week. And I'm kind of curious why a smaller county would have to have department reports every single week from every department, because the few weeks that I've been down to Elk County, I see there's a number of representatives in there from all the departments. And then up in Jackson County, I noticed at least they weren't having them come in there. They were calling them down because they were already at work. But the idea that they would need to have all those departments in there in the evening time, because I think this would be one of the excuses that they would use, is that it would cost us too much to require all those people to be there. Those department reports don't require all those people to be there every single meeting. Are you going to have a meeting or two where, yes, they're going to need to be there. They're going to need to be able to answer some questions. You guys also have Zoom options. You know, there's ways for them to be available to do this from home and things like this. So there's ways to move these meetings to the evening and not make it an automatic hindrance to the public. And the only way to get there, and I'm going to suggest this now, you guys are going to have to start some petitions, get it on a ballot. You get enough signatures, you can put something on the ballot as the people, can't you? Justin?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. The other thing that, you know, I had thought about is that, you know, people could just run and unseat those commissioners and try to change it that way and see if you couldn't get the meeting changed that way as well. But it's also at that town that we went to that parade there in Elk County. Longton. They said their city meeting is at 9 a.m. Same thing, you know, same thing. Nobody, one of the commissioners we talked to, I think, said nobody even goes to them. Nobody's there.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, let's get them moved, you know.
Makes it smooth that the people aren't there to see what's going on. And every meeting that we go to, we see things happening that the people need to know about. Every single one.
Yeah, and it'd be cool if the people in Elk County, you know, they did some kind of rotating. I don't know, if everyone is tied up at work during the day and can't make it, maybe they could have some kind of rotation where somebody, you know, it's 2 meetings a month. Maybe they alternate so that they're not all missing, you know, and they have. I don't know. I'm just trying to brainstorm here, because that is a very tough spot to be in, is to have it during the workday there.
Well, if there's any, I mean, the ideal situation would be for somebody to establish themselves as a person that would go in there and record the meetings for the public and just put it out to the public. I mean, that is completely legal. It's completely expected of the press. I mean, I wish Mackenzie Clark would be in the meeting rooms a little bit more, or one of her reporters were there a little bit more, so that they could get an opposing view from the Journal World, because it seems like the Journal World is the only one that ever has a reporter in the room. And so the more you have in the room, the more eyes and cameras you have in the room, the better. You're going to get a lot better view of what's happening in there.
I agree.
So what else you got, man? Are we, man, we've been going for a little while, man, about an hour and 20. Well, almost 2 hours.
hour 20. Yeah, that's great.
So
no, I don't think I have anything. I don't think I have anything else. Just again, I mean, we covered this the other day in a video, but yeah, I really do appreciate those two women speaking there at Elk County, and just what a good example that they set for other people that see that, you know, watching our videos of them speaking and stuff like that. What a good example they set for people to maybe inspire other people as well to do that. And that's the hope. I hope that people are feeling inspired to participate a little bit more.
Yep.
And use their voice, and part of that is knowing, like this is what we've been talking about here this whole time. Part of that is knowing, you know, your rights when you do go in there and speak. That way you can advocate for yourself, because you'll see other people, as we saw in that video, that lady advocated for Tom Hoffman, but that's rare. You'll be in there advocating for yourself. Basically, it's rare that, you know, me and Michael are able to do that. But you have to advocate for yourself. So you got to know your rights. And go in there and flex your rights.
Right. Exactly. Guys, I want to thank y'all for tuning in, and I'm gonna go ahead and Justin, we've been talking about this a little bit. I'm gonna bring this one up. I think we're about at the point we need to go ahead and combine and create a dreaded accountability channel.
Yep, we should. I mean, we're doing these live streams under this, and we're doing our, you know, our videos and as well. So I think so as well. I think that'd be cool. Mm-hmm.
So guys, you heard it here first. If you can help us out with that and get it known right away as soon as we get opened up, because I think what we're going to try to do is just go ahead and migrate over to dreaded accountability and just do this thing that we've been doing.
Well, we'll still have our channels, but
obviously
we'll be putting this stuff on dreaded accountability.
Yeah, rather than trying to stream both channels and all that, we're going to have a combined channel for that. And then Justin's still going to do his thing, and I've got a few things with the homeless stuff that I do. And we hope you guys enjoy it, and we hope you guys keep watching, and appreciate you guys all being here tonight. And if you have a meeting to go to, get there. If you don't know when the meeting is that you need to be at, you need to do some research. Look up your county website and figure out when it is and go there, because you'll be surprised when you walk in the door.
Yeah, and it's really easy. There's no excuse not to know when a meeting is. You could just Google your county and then commission or city commission meeting, and they'll be posted, and you can find when they are, and you can go to them. Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Have a great evening and stay safe.
Whatever you want and then face some sort of repercussions for it later.
Hey, fun, son. Nothing else in the world smells like that.
discriminatory animus, had it not been for that negative feeling towards speech, they would have not done that.
You think you can still control my life, control never yours to take.
Are you telling me that 200 men against your boy is a no-win situation for us?
Wishing you could see things was my way, when it all gets ripped away. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. I can't hide.